I'm not big for you. I'm big for me.
Wow, like, because I really thought I was on my way.
Only you can stop him. Go for it.
Have you ever thought of starting your own business? Or maybe you have one and you are just in need of some inspiration and tips to take it to the next level. Or maybe you just need some really great inspiration to do something great in your life. Hi, I'm Carrie Murphy, and welcome back to another Inspired Living episode. I am beyond thrilled today that I have finally nailed down, because she is a very busy woman, a thought leader. And she really is the voice for women entrepreneurs. She is someone that I have kind of stalked and followed for years. And now she is a mentor to me, and I see the lives that she touches in what she does. And she reaches over 250,000 people through her social media and her Glambition radio. And again, I'm just so excited to introduce her to you today. So Allie, thank you so much for taking the time out finally to join me.
And Carrie did stalk me, by the way, for years. Right. Yeah, and now she has me locked in a hotel room at the Westin.
Yeah, but we did get you water.
We have water.
We have water.
And she powdered me, too. So I wouldn't shine too much.
I powdered Allie Brown today. It's very exciting. Allie, I love your story. I love the woman that you are. And I've seen a big transformation in you in the last year, which, I can't wait to talk to you about as well. But you never set out to be an entrepreneur. So I would love for you to share what actually transformed for you or transpired that road for you.
Well, I'm one of those gals. It's interesting. When I was in school, I remember being really envious of the kids who knew what they wanted to do. You know those kids in high school, like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a politician, or I'm going to be a mom, or whatever it was, but they knew. And I remember thinking, it changed day to day. I'm like, I could be a rock star, like I could work, I could be a pediatrician, like it just kept going everywhere. And when I got out of school, I was a comm major, and I liked communications because you got to do a lot of stuff, writing. Were you a comm major?
I was,
yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah. Okay. I loved it because you got to do writing and photography and journalism and graphics, and I thought, this is fun because this is kind of how I am. And I graduated, and every job I had, I went through about 6 jobs in probably the span of 5 years, and kept feeling like there was something wrong with me because I wasn't happy. And all my friends and around me were like happy in their jobs, and I kept thinking, something's different. And finally, at my last job, I was working at this little ad agency in New York. And that was great because it was a small company, and if you've worked at a small company, you get to do a lot of stuff. Like, you're working with the clients, but then you're fixing the fax machine and
right.
and dealing with the boss and helping someone with this. And I started to think, this is kind of like running my own business. And my awareness shifted when there was this guy who worked there, and he came in and out, and his name was Eric, and he was a freelancer. And I'm like, what's a freelancer? And he said, well, I kind of do what you do, but I'm on my own schedule. And he'd come back tan from the Hamptons, and I would be sitting there like,
huh.
It was interesting because I got so envious. And I remember then thinking, okay, what is this really about? And the envy for me was showing me something that I wanted. And my number one value, I hadn't realized it, but that helped me realize, was always freedom. I wanted freedom in my life. And I decided, honestly, I just took him out for coffee. I'm like, well, tell me more how to do what you do. And then I just quit. And I wouldn't recommend this, but this is how we roll. A lot of us, right? No plan
Just got to
B.
jump.
And went out and just started getting clients because I was getting good at writing, copywriting, business brochures, newsletters, articles, things like that. And I just knew I was so frustrated staying where I was that it was more painful to stay there than to totally take a leap.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us can relate to that type of moment where you're like, this is crazy, and every rational bone in my body is telling me to stay here. This is ridiculous to leave. But I just
everything
had to do it.
Everything within you is saying, I have to do something different.
Yeah, everything was like screaming to get out. I mean, and I didn't tell my parents, I think, for 2 months because my mom's biggest worry was health insurance.
Right. How are you going to take care of yourself?
What about
health insurance? Yeah. The practical things.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
There were 2 things, Allie, that I love that you said there. And the first one was like when you found yourself envious, because I think it's really easy, especially with social media these days, but to feel envy or to look at someone and say, I want that. That was a key for you.
Totally.
To go, what is it about that is making me feel that way?
When that happens to me, even still, I'll be like, check her out. She's like hot. And I'm like, you know what? That means I need to get to the gym.
Right.
Little things like that can just trigger, just see, well, what does this mean for me? Because that person isn't doing anything to you. It's just raising an awareness in you and something that's coming up that you may like for yourself.
Right. And then you reached out to Eric. And I love that too, that you were like, hey, what are
Totally.
you doing?
I'm 25 and he was like 45. I'm like, can I take you for coffee? And I knew like you have information that I would like. And when your awareness is raised, that shifts everything. You can't go back. It's like the Matrix. It's
so
like the red pill or the blue pill. And I remember like, I know this exists. I can't not go here. I have to check this out. And that led to everything. What happened was essentially I went out and just kind of figured stuff out day by day. And I was meeting these women at networking meetings, and the turning point for me, because a lot of people see me on stage and stuff and they think that I'm a real extrovert and I love going to networking events. And I have to tell you, I guess I'm one of those what's called introvert extroverts. Like I can turn it on, but I much prefer to be cocooning at home, you know, with
I'm finding that more and more too,
Yes.
actually.
So I'd go to these things and it'd be so hard to follow up or tell them ask them for business. And so I started an email newsletter with a list of 10 people, which included literally my parents and my cat. And
Avid readers.
And from there, they were my biggest fans, and started sending out information on what I did know, which was marketing, writing for your business, and started to share what I knew. And people started forwarding it around, and people started referring clients to me. Now, remember, I didn't have a website. I was using AOL. Do you remember the AOL CD?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
do
I
you remember
do.
that when you
Yes,
picked up
I
one of
do.
those
Yep.
and
And
were
you
like,
had to put it-
oh my god, like it just the whole
We're not
world
dating
changed.
ourselves. No, at all.
The whole world just changed, and it was phenomenal. And I think it's really important right now. We take for granted that you open your phone now and you're connected to millions of people
Yeah, in a second.
around the world. I mean, that was revolutionary when that happened. And for your $14.95 a month or whatever it was, you were suddenly connected to all these people. And I thought, you know what, I like this. I know I still need to get out and talk to people, but instead of marketing one-to-one, I can market one-to-many. Then, long story short, women started asking me, how are you marketing? How are you doing this? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to write something that will teach you and I'm going to sell it to you. This is perfect. So I wrote an ebook that taught them how to publish an email newsletter and gain business. And then they said, how are you selling ebooks online? And so then I started teaching that. And then, so the whole career that everyone has seen happen for me was really just me doing something and then turning around and teaching it.
And also listening to what people wanted from
Yes.
you. Because people ask probably all the time for things. And, and
Yes.
if you get asked enough, you go, oh my gosh, that's a product.
Right.
Or that's something else that I need to address.
And you know what holds up most of us? I think we think, well, someone's already written a book on that, or someone's already teaching that. And I remember when I got online and was looking at newsletters and e-zines, there were hundreds of things that people had published, and I was really intimidated, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not the expert on this, and I don't know why I should be the one to talk about it. But then I looked at some of their stuff, and I'm thinking, well, this is good, but it doesn't really address these people, and I like their style, but this content isn't good, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And you have to remember that some people will resonate with you. That's why there's all kinds of different companies and people and products, because you have to find the good match, and you will be a good match for somebody for whatever you offer.
And I do think that the competition often scares people, but you do have to take that leap. And you made that leap, and then one day you actually went to your ATM and had $18.56.
I ran out of money.
Right? Something that entrepreneurs know nothing about.
It wasn't
right?
surprising. I'll go back to that in a second, but it's so funny. Now on my Glambition radio show, I'm interviewing these women with these $50, $100 million companies. I have never heard one of them ever say, I waited until I had all the time and money I needed, and then I started my business. Everyone bootstrapped, put stuff on credit cards, asked for loans, just figured it out. And I share that ATM story now because I didn't before. And then there was one event that it just kind of came to me, and I'm like, I think I should share this. And I shared this on stage, that there was one night within that first year when I started my business, and I was wondering how it was going to keep going. And I went to an ATM to take out a $20 bill, and I couldn't. I don't mean because I didn't know how to take it out.
Right.
I mean the 20 was too much. It was $18.56. And I will never forget that number, because I remember just standing there kind of in disbelief going, and this is where those voices in your head start going, who do you think you are?
You are crazy.
Running a business. Who are you to be doing this? And I remember going home and just having like the cup of soup and sitting there and seriously debating whether to give up. But I still didn't. There's still something in there that was like, you know what? One day at a time, I'll have my cup of soup. I'm okay. I'm above ground. It's a good day.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out. And the money thing for me has really become learning about the energy of it and knowing that my definition now of financial freedom has changed. And it used to be having a certain amount of money in the bank. And by the way, that keeps going up. Like
Right,
you feel,
yeah.
I'll feel safe
Then-
when I have this much, and
yeah.
then you're like, well, other than this much. And then it drops down, and then, you know, it moves around. So you realize money is energy. It's always going to be shifting.
Yeah.
So my definition of financial freedom now is that if you took all this away from me, I know how to do it again and again and again and again. And that is the power in learning how to build a business, how to market yourself, and all of this stuff that we teach, because if you take that away, you can just do another business and then
Right.
another business and then keep capitalizing on that. And the investing in yourself, which we have talked about privately many times, is incredibly
It's
powerful.
a game changer.
Let's talk about that. Tell them
Game
your
changer.
experience with that.
So you have this great program called Elevate, and I've been an entrepreneur for years, but this coaching world was new to me. And I remember someone had introduced me to your website, Allie, at one point, and I'm like, oh, I don't need that. I don't know who this Allie is, and I don't need her. Because I wasn't thinking about that at the
Yeah.
time. I had just moved to LA, pursuing the TV hosting stuff. But I did watch you, and I've seen, gosh, so much of impact that you've had on the lives. And I said, finally, you know what? I'm going to check her out. So it was ticking down to literally on your website to sign up for Elevate. It was like 4, 3, and I'm like, ah! And you know, at that point, it was $300 a month. I was new into this world, and it was so scary. I really did not know how I was going to make that
What
payment
made you
every
say
month.
yes?
I just knew that I needed help. I knew that you knew what I didn't know, and that if I was going to become successful, I had to work and partner with someone that was doing what I wanted to do. And I had never done that. I've been a serial entrepreneur, but I've never invested in mentorship. And in the 3 years, the growth that I have experienced, Allie, it would never have happened if I didn't take that step and invest in what you offer. And your program is fantastic, and I love it. But what I love more is that you really help women step into this greater version of themselves. And that money, energy, you know, I can't tell you how many people I talk to that say, Carrie, I'd love to work with you, or I'd love to work with an Allie, and I just can't afford it. And then they stay where they're at year after year, day after day.
Yeah.
And
If you're
it
waiting
has
for the
been-
money to be there,
it
it
has
won't.
been what has, I really feel, changed my life and has helped build the business I have today.
Yeah. I have never been truly prepared for anything I've taken on.
Isn't that the truth?
And I say that, and it sounds funny and ridiculous, and it's absolutely true, though. So many women wait until they think they're going to have more money or more time, or it's the right time. And if you have some type of inkling or that little power surge, like you're supposed to be doing something, spending money and investing in yourself is the best way to get that going, because 2 reasons. Number one, just the energy of it, because the space that you give through and invest through and spend through is the same space you receive through.
Yeah.
So if you're like this, money can't circulate. But if you're opening up, there's a lot of room for that money to flow. You kind of feel it almost in your body when we talk
Right.
about that. It's the energy is going to flow. And the second reason is it puts your back against the wall. And women, this is something I see again and again, and it's fascinating that we typically do not go step out and take a big risk unless our back's against the wall. Then we're like, that's it, I'm doing this. Otherwise, it's too easy to go, you know, this is uncomfortable.
Right. I'm going to
This
stay here.
is too much.
Yeah.
Or people are talking about me on Facebook,
Right.
which we just talked about today.
Yes.
Or, you know, just you're putting yourself out there. And if there's no plan B and you get yourself going, I promise, like this is what unlocks everything. It is that faith. And I talk a lot about the faith and walking faith. And, you know, we're not talking about religion, whatever your belief system is, but that's when you're getting out and it's believing in yourself and believing in what you can create. Even when a lot of the data may not be directing you to think that this is going to work right away. You
Right.
just know. You know something's going to change.
You know what, Allie, you have built something that I think a lot of women aspire to have. You know, you have a global brand, you have built a multi-million-dollar business, you are really seen as an industry leader, and you're really stepping in now to more of being a thought leader. And and this is like before mentorship and coaching was as big as it is today, what was it that you did that you felt like was what got you to where you are?
It's a good question, actually. Like one thing or
a couple things, because there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many coaches, speakers, people that aspire to do what you do.
I think, first of all, on a practical level, I was the first person. I was going to all these internet marketing seminars with all these guys when I was the only woman there in the room most often, and then the only woman on stage. And I was learning all these tactics they were teaching, and I was really the first one to put it all together in a system, and that was my online success blueprint, which I did workshops for years. Then on the more, leadership level, I always just keep moving ahead and thinking, what do I need to learn? What do I need to work on? And then I turn around and teach it. So I hope that answers your question. Those two things, I'm always taking things that I'm out learning, and I'm attending Forbes Women's Summit and some incredible events. I'm making connections for the clients that I work with personally. I'm bringing back stuff that I learn. I think a lot of people get to the point that they're leading online or teaching online, and they're not out
They
there
stop growing.
up-leveling.
Yep.
And you see some people have done that. And believe me, I get comfy sometimes, and I'm like, I'm staying home for a while.
Right, yeah.
Especially now that I have the twins
Yeah.
and the family and all that. But I'm in this exciting new place now. I'm like, okay, what's next? I'm getting a little power surge.
So let's talk about that. So 2 years ago,
Yes.
you had a gorgeous house on the beach, right? We're getting nationally recognized, changing lots of lives, and then you had twins. And you're still doing all that. But
And I figured out how it happened, by the way.
You did? Okay, good. That's a whole nother video.
What
Moms,
they say
don't
is
worry.
true.
Yeah.
I
We won't
finally
be going
met
to
the
that.
right guy.
Yes.
When I was 41, and ladies, I waited a long, long, long time. And, it gets me emotional. I had this perfect life and just was so waiting for that right partner, and tried on a few of the wrong partners, and was married once years ago, a few years, nice guy, but the wrong guy when I first moved to LA. We lived, you could probably see the apartment building here in this one bedroom, and we're just so excited to be moving to California. So 2 years ago, just about two and a half years ago, I was single, and I am now living in Scottsdale, Arizona with an amazing Australian man, our twin babies, who are 16 months right now. My mom, who, was so worried about the health insurance. Now I bought her a house. It's the house behind ours.
She's like, honey, you did good.
Yes. Yeah. She still doesn't know what I do. Your family will
Mine
never
doesn't really understand it either.
And she's my biggest fan, but my biggest critic sometimes too.
Sure.
That's your family.
Yep.
And my life has just changed phenomenally and fantastically. And for me, I wasn't sure actually I wanted kids for a long time. I was really on the business track, and I was traveling. I'm just thinking, well, this is great, and if it happens, it happens. And then boom. So
It happened.
it happens, and double your productivity.
Yeah. So let's talk about productivity. I'm sure there's lots of moms watching that go, well, that's great, Allie. Good for you. Like, you were single and you could do this. And I'm a mom that has kids at home that aspire to create something, and I don't feel like I have the time, the energy, the resources.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
It's interesting. When I was single, I heard, oh, well, you can do this, Allie, because you're single and I have a family. And now I have a family, and they're like, well, you can do this because you have a husband. And, it comes down to you. And don't panic about your resources. Just get resourceful. Figure out what's important to you. And I'll tell you, what the kids changed for me is I'm not as, I want to use the word neurotic. I'm not as, that was a joke.
Well, oh, sorry. I'm very serious about this. It's a good
She's
conversation.
like, you were neurotic. You were. I'm not as, and moms will know this, it just kind of clears your plate, and there's only a few things left that really, really matter. And just a lot of the stuff that used to bother me now, I just don't give a shit. Like, the things people will say online, ridiculous things on Facebook, and I mean, any of you online, this happens. You can say the sky's blue, and they'll start arguing with you. Someone's like, "You're wrong. This is all crap. You're fake.
Right?
Is this you're fake?" It's interesting when you step up. Stuff will happen, and this is a lot of the stuff that women don't realize that comes with leadership, and it's nothing to do with you, but how you respond has everything to do with your growth. And when that stuff happens. This is a whole other course we could do, a whole other call.
So great.
But what's interesting now is I made a list of just the people whose opinions really matter to me. And that includes my
That's
family,
great, yeah.
and that includes my clients and the women who are here to grow. And the rest of the women, you know, if I rub you the wrong way, no problem. You don't have to like my page or love my
You
video
can unlike
channel.
me. We
You
cannot
can
be
unlike
friends,
me.
right?
And then there's sometimes people who argue with you. I'm going to unlike you. And then if you don't write back, I'm going to unlike you today. I'm like, go,
Please,
unlike, go away.
Yes. And you know
okay.
what? Women are raised with thinking, I just need to be liked. I
Yes.
want people to like me. And I was that little girl. If you didn't like me, I went home and just cried.
Aw.
And now, you know, it's one of the greatest lessons I've learned, that when you're truly passionate about what you're doing and you're committed to making a difference, that not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to agree with what you say. And it's a hard thing, I think, for women to handle. You know, when someone says something nasty on a Facebook page, or, you know, says something else out of context, they don't even know you, and they start, how do you really decipher, you know, what you let penetrate, you know, that heart of yours, and how you show up?
What I did when that started happening is it was funny, it was great because a mentor said to me, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected?
Ooh, I like that.
And for women, shifting to the positioning yourself in your business, the leadership and the respect that, you know, your credibility and what you have to offer, like shifting all of that for me took away that you need to like everything I say kind of thing. And going back, if you look at just in history, women, if you went back to like cavewoman days, if we spoke up, if we were out of line, like we were kicked out of the tribe.
Right.
You would die.
Yeah.
And literally, you know, we were talking about this today in the coaching program here, but like you feel this in your body sometimes when you're getting attacked or where someone doesn't like you and you're thinking, you feel unsafe. And you have to know that you're safe. You're not in danger. And these things will happen and people will say things that are most often a reflection on themselves.
Absolutely.
You have to be open for feedback. And if they're clients or you know, or people who I know are real loyal followers, then I definitely listen. But most of the time I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right. Not my client. Not my client. So, Allie, what does inspired living mean to you?
Inspired living, proactive versus reactive. I think every day we wake up typically and it's responding. You know, I'm here at this event and those are your moms. You know, even when you're traveling, everything comes back to mama. I'm getting texts like they're installing the blinds today and you need to check. I'm like, no, I told them that to run the card and then, oh, Maddie's going to the doctor and all this stuff. And we spend our day reacting instead of saying, what kind of day do I want to have today? And I think we need to do more of that.
Brilliant. Love that. Allie, you're amazing. Thank you for what
Love
you're
you.
doing. Thank you for the contribution you're making in this world.
You're
You've
welcome.
certainly changed my life, and I know you've changed thousands of others.
We
so
could do a whole day.
We
This
can.
would be fun.
We're going to do a lot more stuff. So thank you for watching this Inspired Living interview. I hope that it inspired you to go out there and play a little bit of a bigger game in your life. We would love to hear from you, wouldn't we, Allie?
Yes.
We would love to hear from you. So please post your comments below. What was your aha from this interview that you're going to implement in your life today? So thank you so much for watching this interview. And as always, remember to keep dreaming it, living it, and being it. I'll catch you next time.